Hello everyone, this is Harry Gill, and in this video we are going to look into method references. This topic is part of generics and collections, which is chapter 7 in the book. Let's jump straight into IntelliJ and start looking at the topic. So I have this empty main method. I'm going to start with writing a consumer using lambdas. If you're not aware of lambdas or you're not aware of functional interfaces, please watch the videos that I have already prepared. I'll link the card in this video and go through those first and then come back to this particular one. So in this lambda, you can see that we have x as parameter of the lambda, and the body of the lambda we have a println statement where we are passing x. So we are really not doing anything with the x. We are not manipulating it in any way. We are just passing it through to the println method. So we have a redundant code here. So method references are used to reduce or remove the redundancy. I'm going to write another consumer using method reference and then we will discuss more. So this is the construct of the method reference. The very first thing you would note is that we have a double colon here. Just like Java uses arrow function to identify that it's a lambda, it uses double colon to identify that it is a method reference. The reason it is called method reference is that we are assigning a reference of the method to a variable, in this case C2. So C2 holds the reference of the method and hence it's called method reference. Now let's have a look into the signature of the println in this case. So the println method is taking an object in, it's doing something with the object and it's not returning back. So the return is void. If you remember from our previous tutorials, signature of the println matches the signature of the accept method in the consumer. If you ignore the name of the method, the signature is exactly same. So the accept method takes an input, doesn't return anything. Println also takes an object, doesn't return anything. So that is why we are able to assign the reference of println into C2. So that is essentially what method references are. Method reference is just a different way to write the lambda expression. Method reference is less verbose. We don't have to type as much as we have to do for lambda. Let's look into 4 main categories where method references can be used. Now the very first one is referencing a static method. So I'm going to go ahead and write a consumer and I will use the static method and also the method reference way of defining the consumer. Now let's look at the signature of the sort. First of all, it is static. So that is why it is an example of a static method reference. So the sort method takes a list as input and it doesn't return back anything. So this particular method conforms to the signature of a consumer, which takes something as input but doesn't return anything back. So that is why we can use sort as a static reference. Now if you notice that we have another sort method and it's taking 2 parameters, then how do Java know whether it has to call the first sort method or the second one? For that, Java looks at the wider context, and by wider context I mean it sees that the consumer is something that takes only 1 parameter. Consumer does not take 2 parameters, and that is why it knows to call the sort method with the single parameter. In case collections doesn't have a sort method with a single parameter, or if the method returns back something which is not expected, then the code will error out in the compile time. And note that it's not that method reference can be used only for the methods that are already present in the library of the Java. Even if you create a method, you can use that method as method reference as long as it conforms to the consumer's requirement. Let me go ahead and write my own consumer, and we will use a method from the class that we will create as a method reference. So I'm going to create a class called printAnimal, and that printAnimal will have a static method. Since we are looking into static example, so I'm going to create a static method called print, and that will take an animal as input, and the return type is void, so it wouldn't return anything. So we haven't created animal, so let me go ahead and create that. Now let me go back to the main method. Notice that I'm going to create a consumer of the type animal, and printAnimal is the class that I just created, and I'm going to call the print method, or rather I'm going to reference the print method on that class that I have created. As you see, I have created my own class, my own method, and I'm able to use my method as a method reference. As long as a method takes input as animal and doesn't return anything back, that method can be used to create the lambda for the C4 consumer. And also note that a method reference doesn't always have to take an input. We can actually use method references even for other functional interface. So I'm going to create my own supplier, which will supply me an animal. So I'm going to create a class called animal supplier, and within that class I'm going to create a static method again, which will return an animal, but it wouldn't take anything as input. And in my main method, I'm going to create a supplier of the type animal and use the method reference on getAnimal. Now, if you notice the supplier's construct, so it has a method that does not take anything but returns something back. So which is true in our case. So the getAnimal doesn't take anything back, but it returns an animal. So that is why the getAnimal can be used as a method reference to define a supplier. So these are the examples of the methods that are static, and we are referencing those methods using the method references. Now, let's see an example of how to refer the methods, which is the second type now, how to refer the methods that are non-static. I'm going to go in the print animal and create another method which is not static and take animal as input. Notice that this method will not return anything back. So that means I can use this method to create a consumer. Since that method that I have just written is not static, so I need an instance of print animal to refer my new method that I have written. And then I'm going to create a consumer of the type animal. Now, instead of using the class name, I'm using the instance variable to call the method. So the difference between two is very obvious. In the static method case, we are using the class name to create the reference. In the second, we are using the variable name to which the instance is assigned and using that to create a method reference. Now let's move on to the third category. And this third category is referencing a non-static method on a parameter of the lambda. In the previous case, we are calling another print on print animal, but print animal is a instance variable, and the print animal is not a parameter of the lambda. But in the new category, we will call a method on parameter that is being passed into the lambda. So let me write a predicate of the type string, and it takes a parameter s, and in the lambda body I'm going to say s.isEmpty. So as you see here, the isEmpty method is being called on the parameter of the lambda. Now the way we write reference method for this type of category is, I'll define another predicate, and the method reference will be string : isEmpty. Now as you look, this syntax looks very similar to our static method reference. And now how would Java know whether it's a static or non-static? That would be because Java knows the signature of isEmpty. So as you notice, isEmpty is not static. So it knows that this method has to be called on the instance, but we haven't provided any instance. So given that we have provided string in the first half, it knows that it is supposed to get a parameter in the lambda of the type string. And that is why it is able to identify exactly what method will be called. Now I'm going to write another functional interface called byPredicate. ByPredicate is like predicate. The only difference is byPredicate will have two arguments. So it takes two arguments in and it returns a Boolean. So first I'm going to write this predicate using the lambdas. So it will take an parameter s and t, and in the body I'm going to call s dot starts with t. Now notice that the starts with method is being called on one of the parameter, in this case s, and we are passing t as input to the starts with, and the return of starts with is a Boolean, which is required by byPredicate. Now the way we would write this predicate using the method reference is like so. Java will first check whether if there is a starts with static method on the string object, and there isn't. So now Java knows that it needs to call starts with on the very first parameter of the lambda. If you compare with the lambda, in this case it knows that starts with needs to be called on the very first parameter, which is s, and rest all the parameters will be passed as argument to the starts with. In this case we have only one extra argument, so t is being passed as argument to the starts with. To make it clear, let me write another predicate. So I will be writing my own predicate called as try predicate, and let's see how that looks like. I'm going to create my own functional interface called try predicate, and that try predicate takes 3 different objects and return a boolean value. And I have added a method in animal called check names that takes 2 strings as inputs and return a boolean value. Now coming back to the main class, I'm going to write a try predicate using the lambdas first, and then I'm going to write another predicate using the method reference. This is how the try predicate looks like with the lambda. And this is the method reference way to define the exact same lambda. Now let's move on to the fourth and final category, which is calling constructor. So I'm going to write a supplier of type animal, and the way we call constructor using method reference is we write the animal class ;; and new. Now how would I call an overloaded constructor? As you know, we could have an overloaded constructor. How would I use overloaded constructor using method reference? So for that, let me go ahead and change my animal class, create an overloaded constructor, and then come back to this main class. In the animal class, I'm going to add a default constructor so that our existing code doesn't fail. And now adding an overloaded constructor, which will take a string as input. I'm not going to use it, but you get the idea of having a overloaded constructor. Now coming back to the main class, I'm going to write a function here. Now let's first check what function is. So function is a functional interface that takes one parameter and returns a value. So as you notice, the parameter that takes in is t, which goes into the function, and r is returned back. Now going back to our main class. So as you notice here, I'm taking a string as input, creating an animal, and now it returns back animal. And that matches my definition of the function, that it takes a string, returns an animal back. The way I would write this lambda as method reference is like so. Now Java is intelligent enough to know that it's returning an animal, but that animal needs to be constructed using an overloaded constructor that takes a string, because that is how we have defined the function signature. So as you see here, just by mere looking at the method reference, you are not able to identify which exact method will be or which exact constructor will be called. So it is very important to understand or know the context around the method reference, and that is how Java also pinpoints what method or constructor needs to be called, and that is how as a developer you would know which exact constructor or which exact method is being called if you know the surrounding context of the method reference. That is all I wanted to discuss in this video. As you have seen that to understand method reference, you have to be very clear on the lambdas concept and also the functional interfaces, and to know what a particular functional interface really mean. In the next few videos, we will be discussing functional programming, and that is why I wanted to go over the basics of it first and then carry on with the functional programming. If you like the video, please hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. Until next time, bye-bye.